What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Cayman Wolf, the Decrepit Gamer, reminding you you're never too old to game. Welcome, guys, to the fifth installment of the Ravenloft Project. Today, we're going to build the spires. We're really going to get a feel for the full size and scope and scale of this medieval mammoth megastructure from the glory days of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Castle Ravenloft. If you want to get caught up on this series, guys, you can use the link right up here to go to the playlist and catch the previous episodes. I'll also link the playlist at the end of the video, and also the link is in the description. So any of those three ways you can get caught up to where we are in this build process. Today is very exciting because the goal is, I mean, there may be some finishing touches that need to be added, but for the most part, the exterior of the castle will be done. There's still two subterranean levels that need to be added. The two dungeon levels, which extend 90 feet underground, very substantially large, but not visible from the ground level or from the outside of the castle. You have to actually go in the castle and go down to get to the dungeon levels. So you don't see those when you're standing there looking at the castle. So when we get finished today, the castle should be complete in terms of its scope and scale and size of what you will see when you stand there looking at it. I don't plan on raising the castle walls today. That'll be one of the last things that I do, but the spires should reach their full height of above the clouds, which I think is just freaking awesome. So yeah, let's just dive right into it, guys. Okay, so I finished all the roof work on the third floor of the castle. So we can fly around here and take a look at what we've done here. We've sealed off this portion, which was the Gertrude's bedroom and the dining room and things like that up here. And then the belfry portion back here is completed. This part back here, this is the part that was hidden by the isometric view that I was kind of on the fence as to what to do with. I've decided to roof off the servants' quarters here like this by extending the rooftop up here and having it meet with the castle wall. And I've just gotten rid of these arches here on this part. I'm really kind of on the fence about this portion here. I want to leave it as is right now and revisit it when I finish adding these battlements to the rest of the castle wall and see how that looks right there. It might look okay. And then of course I've put these battlements up here. And then I've raised the spires up to the next level, and I've put the floor down of the first level of the spires, which are going to extend on up several levels, as you can see right here. So this is what I've got right here. I've got this level done, and I've extended this one on up here. I've got to add the smokestack. The smokestack goes over the fireplace. I think I'll add that later as I'm doing the finishing touches on the room. I can stand right on the fireplace, then look directly up, go up, and then just drill right through the rooftop right there and know exactly where to put it. So I think I'll hold off on that. And then also right here, you can see there's a lot of finish work that needs to be done here. There's a window that needs to go here. There's some trim that needs to be put in place around here. Just some things to make it look nice. That all goes right here. So see, that's very plain looking right now. So that there'll be a window there. There'll be some nice looking trim here, nice looking dark trim, forming a pattern on the front here. So that'll really shape up and come together. Right now, if we go in here, and I'm just going to cheat and make a hole in the front here, so I can just walk through here. You can see. Let me get myself a torch. You can see there's lots of finish work to be done in here. This is Gertrude's bedroom, so there needs to be a bed here, and then lots of decorative things that need to be put around. It's just really just empty space right now, which is fine. I just want to get the structure in place. You know, there's no doors here. There's just holes where the doors are going to be. These long, narrow doorways here, this will be replaced by an arch here to enter this spiral staircase. That's a door that needs to be put in place. There's even some places where the rooftop needs to be put in place. Even the roof needs to be placed here. So that's okay. We'll do all of that when we do the finishing touches. What we're going to do is we're going to go in room by room and read the description and add all of the finish work. But it's just really nice to be able to walk around the interior of the castle and know what each of these rooms is going to be. It's really, once you start putting the roof in place and all of the walls and closing it all in, just the scale of the thing really comes into focus, and you can see how easy it could be to get lost in here, particularly if you didn't have the map and if you didn't know the module, and weren't familiar with it. Just look at the massive size of this thing, man. Look at the mammoth. Look how high up those arches are. And I'm standing on the balcony, so I'm at the level of the floor of the first, the ceiling of the first level, the floor of the second level, and then that's how high up. And then the belfry is above that, and then the towers extend way on up above that. And there's several floors that comprise this space right here, which actually spans the height of 3 floors of the castle. Yeah, you can very easily get lost in here. This is another area that just kind of puts the scale of the thing into focus. This is the spiral staircase that goes up this tower. Yeah, it just goes up and up and up. And then there's one other spire that goes up even higher than this one. But this has got several more floors to go. So the next floor is going to be 40 foot, an additional 40 foot, and then another additional 40 foot, and then an additional 50 foot. And then that one ends, and then there's an additional 50 foot above that for the next one. I believe. So you can see, I believe I've got that right. It's another 100, and it goes up substantially higher, and it's going to extend right on up into the clouds, which I think is just freaking awesome, man. I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and look at it. So this is the floor that I've got in place. So this is 40 foot, and then the next floor is another 40 foot. So that's 80 foot higher than what I've currently got, and then another 20 foot, so that's 100, then another 50, so that's 150, and then another 60. So from where I currently am in the build to the very pinnacle of this tower is another 210 feet into the air. And then I haven't really looked or talked about this in a while, but then when I finish the exterior of the castle, all the way up to the very top of that highest spire and raise the battlements, then I've got this dungeon work to do down here. So there's 2 levels of subsurface, subterranean structure here that extends down 90 feet below below the ground. So quite a large castle, and quite fun to build, and it's very rewarding to see this work coming together the way that it is. So anyway, yeah, so this caps off the third floor of the castle. And then here, if I just walk right on toward the back of the castle, this is the belfry. So there's going to be a bell that hangs down right here, and there will be some way to activate that bell in accordance with what's described in the module. That honestly I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm going to be looking at that much later as I'm adding polish. So I'm not really concerned about it right now, other than to say that there's going to be a bell hanging down from up there, which I think is really cool. And you can look out there and you can see the cathedral roof from the belfry. Of course, I don't know that players would be able to make their way up here unless they had a way to fly. I'm really not sure. A lot of things that I need to look at in terms of how to enhance the gameplay with some modding. I know that there's a lot of traps and certain very specific encounters in here that are going to take some, I believe, some real trickery to pull them off. But it's going to be interesting. All right, so here I have finished basically almost everything on the exterior of the castle. I went ahead and finished these spires. I was going to edit the video to include every level of the spire, but the interior of the spires is very small, as you can see here. So each level of the spires just had a few rooms, and this one just continues up and up and up. So this one had a few rooms, and this one had a few rooms. And then this, you can see here, this surface area and then this footbridge that goes across and connects these two spires. You can see right here, that's this bridge right here. So this is that bridge, and this is that railing that you saw where this spiral staircase comes up to this top of this spire right here. The only thing that I felt like was interesting about building these spires and that I would point out is that if you look at each level of the map, so K20 down here is 60 feet. Actually, it begins over on map 3 here, and it's 50 feet, and then it expands out to 60 feet. And I had talked about that in a couple of videos ago, where it expands as it gets over these stairs right here. And then it expands out to 60 feet across. And then, as it ascends, it gets more and more narrow, which is really difficult to see because these interim maps here are not broken out into the graph paper. You just kind of have to compare it to the graph next to it, but it is getting more narrow. And then you can really see it when it gets up here to the top. So right here, it says up 50 feet to map 9. This is K20 here. Up 50 feet to map 9, which is right here. So this staircase ends in room K60 right here, which is only 40 feet across. So as this spire ascends, it narrows and loses 20 feet in diameter just gradually. And the other spire does the same thing as well. It gets more and more narrow. So you see it's only 30 feet across here at the very top. Only 10, 20, and then 5, and then 5 on this side. Is 30 feet across here at the top, and down here at the bottom, it's much wider. And so Minecraft doesn't really have a way to directly to do that. It's very, it's just blocks in 90-degree angles. And so in order to simulate that, I had to do this. And so what I did was just, periodically a couple of times as the tower ascended, just narrowed it. And the same thing over here. As the spire ascended, I just narrowed it. This one I did conveniently. This spire is contained within an exterior wall here up until it protrudes from that exterior wall here. So I was able to narrow it down internally. And then the last time that I narrowed it was right here as it protruded from that wall. So that looks very, very natural. And this, I feel like looks natural as well. Of course, it doesn't look like the picture. This is not pictured. The drawing just shows the spires getting gradually more and more narrow as they ascend. You can see that right here. So it doesn't look like the drawing, but I'm happy with it because it looks like it's just an interesting architectural, artistic design choice. It looks, in other words, I don't feel like it looks bad. It cannot look like the drawing. But I had to just do the best that I could. And I feel like I'm happy with the decision that I made here because I don't feel like it looks bad. I feel like it looks good. I feel like it looks like a natural design decision that whoever, conceived of this castle would have reasonably made. I do love how these spires extend right on up into the clouds. I mean, to me, that is just freaking awesome, man. And it just really shows the scale of this damn thing. I put these finishing touches here on the exterior of the wooden housing portion up here. This is a bedroom of one of the young girls that Count Strad von Zarevich has kidnapped from the village. She's innocent, and she, she's thinks, I guess thinks she's in love with Strat or whatever. So that's kind of her story. But and then there's a dining room back here, and there's a bathroom up here, and some other things. And it's just got some. If you look at the picture here, there's some texture to that, to that woodwork, and that's what I'm trying to show. So I'm just recreating this as accurately as I can within the confines of Minecraft, what Minecraft allows me to do. And so that's what I was attempting to do there. And then these towers have arches here, and I went ahead and did the arches and the battlements around the towers and the ladders that go up. I didn't put the ladders in the exact same place because they didn't really work within Minecraft. So I just kind of put them both on front, and you can see that here. So you can see that right here. And then here's the arches. I made archways that go into those, and then I put the battlements there. And then I put the arrow slits, although they don't look exactly like the arrow slits in the drawing. I did the best that I could, like I did with the others. And then there's the ladder that goes up to the top of that tower. This stairway in here, this has been extended all the way up to this level, and then it stops here. So I need to finish this stairway. I need to bring it all the way up to the top. I don't know if you can see there. It's very dark in here. Let me just grab a torch so I can light the place up a little bit. So yeah, so the stairway ends here, and then I've got to bring it on up, and then I've got to come through this floor here to go up into room K60. I just went ahead and floored the entire room. There is a room above here that's just completely sealed off right now because I wasn't sure where these stairs were going to end, and I'm not going to be as concerned. See, right here, I had to see the slope of these stairs is very gradual as it goes up the entire tower until it gets to here, and then it becomes much steeper. And the reason I did that was because this staircase had to end right here on this landing. It had to. It was prescribed to. So I just, what I did was I just changed it in such a way that that I didn't have to make it non-symmetrical. So it's symmetrical going all the way up until it gets right here, and then it's just then it just becomes a 45-degree climb, which I think looks very natural to climb up to that landing right there, and then it will have to continue. And so my point here is that I'm not sure where the staircase is going to end, and it doesn't matter. It's hopefully it will end where it's depicted in the module. I found that the stairways have been playing very nice with the way they're depicted in the module, so they definitely took that into consideration. The slope of the stairs, 10 foot. So the stairs tend to climb at a 45-degree angle. Except for these and here, which climb at about a 30-degree. But when they climb at a 45-degree angle, then they tend to end where the spiral staircases are shown to end in the drawing. But this one, I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter because this is the final room. So this is the ceiling of that room, and what you were looking at before was the floor of this room, and yeah, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it actually ends. And then sort of the same thing for this one. I've got some more staircase work to do, which I may yet hold off on that because the next thing I think that I will end up doing is the part that I've been sort of dreading, which is these two dungeon levels down here. These things are below the surface. So this one is down 40 foot, and then this one is down another 50 foot below that. So that's 90 foot underground that I'm going to have to build. And so the way that I think that I'm going to accomplish that is I think I'm just going to use World Edit, and I'm just going to dig straight down 90 feet plus another 6 feet to account for the two floor levels, because there's three foot 1 meter block per floor, so that's 90 feet, so that's 96 feet. I think I'm just going to drill down the amount of blocks, and I don't want to do the conversion in my head, but the amount of blocks that amount to 96 feet. I think I'm just going to drill straight down on one side of these battlements here, being sure not to catch any of the area of the battlements. And then on the other side of the battlements, I'm just going to grab a corner at ground level, and then I'm just going to use world edit and say replace or say set air, and just basically just clear out that entire area under the castle and build those subterranean areas. And then once they're done, then use world edit again and come in here and fill it all back in with dirt. And then I will have to relay any of the stonework here that was, destroyed in that process of clearing that hole. I'm not sure that any of it really will need to be, because I think I can just come on the inside of all of that. Yeah, even here, I can come on the inside of this and just go straight across. So the hole that I'm going to clear out will go from about right here to about right here, so it doesn't catch any of the stonework that I've got laid for the wall, for the castle wall. Yeah, so I think that's going to be the next thing to do. And then once those dungeon areas are created, dungeon levels are created, and that dirt is filled back in, then will come the very, I feel like, interesting, meticulous, probably monotonous, probably slow, but interesting part of going through the castle room by room here with this module open, looking at these descriptions of each room. So you see each room has a description that is intended to be read to the player. So this is very much what the players see when they enter the room. And then down here is additional information that's just for the dungeon master, that gives him more information about the room. And this will be somewhat important, particularly when there's things like secret doors and things like that may not be immediately visible. But the most important part will be this description here, because this is describing what the characters see when they walk into the room. So I'm going to have to go room by room and read these descriptions, and then try to, within the confines of Minecraft, within the limits of Minecraft, try to recreate what it is that the room is supposed to look like, everything that it's supposed to contain. And that will include the design of the doors, the lighting, any of the furniture, anything that's in there, with the exception of mobs. That will come later. In fact, that's once all of the interiors are done, then I will have to go through, and that's where I'll have to go through and start adding either some scripting, or maybe just build techniques like structure blocks and command blocks. I'm really not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to have to make all of the doors that aren't actual door blocks in Minecraft, like the big heavy front door here. See, I've had a hole drilled through it right here so that I could just, access the interior of the castle. But of course that's going to go away. And this door is going to become actually operable using structure blocks and command blocks and or scripts. And same thing with this one, and same thing with this one. Any of these big heavy doors, interior and exterior castle doors, the big, heavy ones, those are going to be operable with those more advanced build techniques. And that will be, I feel like that's going to be last. That's going to be the last thing that I do, is go in here and make everything work. Everything that's supposed to work, like secret doors. I'll have to figure out how, what those triggers are for the secret doors, and, and add those. And then any of the, like there's an elevator. I have no idea how I'm going to do that, but basically they don't say that it's an elevator, but basically it's a compartment that there's some gear work. I mean, basically it is an elevator. They don't use the word elevator, but that's essentially what it is. It's a trap that elevates the characters up to a higher floor, to a place where Strad wants them to be. But, but I'm going to have to figure out how to make that work. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, that'll be the last thing, going through and basically, let's say, quote, wiring everything up to make it all work. But that's where we are now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. In the next video, I will show the dungeon levels, one or two of the dungeon levels. I'm not sure how I'm going to break those videos up, but the The next video will be the subterranean levels that I'm going to build, and then I think the interior will probably consist of, you know, at least a couple, or, you know, a few videos, or, you know, I'm not sure how I'm going to break those up, but I think I'm going to go ahead and close this one out for now, because this is the exterior structure of the castle, with the exception of maybe some, maybe some finishing touches. There's some finishing touches here as well, I believe. Like, for example, this front of the castle, as you're facing it here, it looks like this is arched. Yeah, it looks like we got an arch right here, so I may try to recreate that as accurately as I can, or I may not. You know, that's just an artist's rendition of what, you know, how he envisions the castle to look like based on the floor plan. And I think this, I actually kind of like it here, but it's, if I do add the arches, see these arrow slits, these are on the floor plan. So these arrow slits have to be there. So those arches that they're depicting, I'm really not sure how that, yeah, I'm not really sure how that, I mean, there's several places, and I've pointed them out in the previous videos. There's several places where the artist's interpretation of what the floor plans are showing doesn't really work, you know, not really, not when you take and try to build what he's showing and still reconcile what he's showing with what is in the floor plans, which is kind of the master. That has to be correct. You know, it could be that the arches, you know, I put them here. I don't know, because I've got those, I feel like nice column heads right there on the top. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll have to give it some thought. I'll have to give it a little thought. But, you know, I may leave it like it is. I feel like it looks nice. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out now. And I really appreciate you guys watching this video, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. This has been, I know these build videos are kind of long, but believe me when I say this has been like many hours of work so far, and there's many more to go. And so I would, whatever your thoughts, you know, I would really like to hear them. And I'm really looking forward to, you know, putting this thing live on a server and letting folks come in and play on it. I'm not sure how the adventure server is going to work yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to building that, and really looking forward to letting folks, you know, come in here and check this out. But anyway, so that's it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one. This is Cayman Wolf, the Decrepit Gamer, reminding you that you're never too old to game. And for right now, my friends, I am out of here.